Tonight on Your Health, citing a rise in the number of emergency mental health patients, Samaritan Medical Center in Watertown is expanding its unit. Construction began on the $2.5 million project last week. The expansion will add 7 beds to its emergency department secure unit for behavioral health. It'll go from 5 to 12. It comes as a number of psychiatric patients rises. In the last year, the hospital has seen an average of 8 patients a day, with a high of more than 20 at one time, partly because of the COVID-19 pandemic.
We were having an increase in behavioral health emergencies, and what was happening in regards to that is we were spilling over into our medical beds, and we were trying to find a way to alleviate that.
The expansion expected to be completed by next summer.